Morning, everyone. 31 people, 32 people. Great. Okay, I'm just giving it a minute for everyone to get in. Then we could get started. Okay. Cool. Numbers are still going up. Okay, I think we could kick it off. Morning, everyone. I was just about to say that, Jacob. Thank you. So yeah, if you have any questions during this demo of analytics that we're about to go through, please put it in the chat box in the top right. And I got my colleague Jacob on the webinar as well, who will try his best to answer your questions. We did get a lot of questions last week, so we weren't able to answer every single one. So if that's the case, we will get back to you with an answer. So don't worry. And I'm about to kick it off. So let's start this. Okay. All right. So a little intro into FE Analytics today. A little bit what's on the agenda. We're going to go through FE Analytics and best way to navigate your way through it. Going to see how you do comparisons, then reporting, a little bit about risk profiling, and an integration between FE Analytics and mostly CashCalc today. And then obviously answering some of your questions there. A little bit about what we do and who we serve in the industry. Just a little bit of numbers for you to see there. Then what we are planning to achieve with the latest product Nexus by integrating asset management and wealth management together. And the points around it is how we're planning to do that. After this, we could jump straight into FE Analytics. So I move this. Should be able now to see my FE Analytics screen. Okay, so I don't know how many of you already use FE Analytics or how many of you already don't use it, but if you do use it, and you log in, this is the first page that you will see. The first thing that I like to mention when we get to this page is that our data normally sits on the left-hand side and our output's normally on the left, and that theme kind of carries on through our analytics. And the deeper I get into the demo, you'll see that theme carry on. The first place I like to start when doing the analytics demo is basically show you best ways of finding funds or multi-asset funds. So the first place I like to go to is right at the top where it says search for instruments or help. So I personally call this the master search. And the reason I call it the master search is because here you can search your ISIN, CDL, city codes, or even the name of the fund without having to know what universe it sits under. So nothing's hindering your way of finding it. So if I click into here and let's search the easiest code I can remember, which is PE12, search that. Very easy, the system will pick that up for you, and all you got to do is press add, and that adds it to something we call the active list. And the active list is basically what you're trying to build up with a list of funds that you want to later on go analyze, or a list of portfolios that you later on want to go analyze, or if it's a list of funds that you later on want to build a portfolio with, which is up here. So that's the first way of finding a fund. Next way, we'll be using these 4 tabs here. So if I just stick to instruments, all you'd need to do is click on the drop down and pick what universe you want to look into. So if we're having a look at, like, say, pensions, you click into pensions, and then the management group should pop up here. Then you pick the management group you want, and we do hold the most data in the UK. We sell our data to Morningstar, Defacto, etc., but they get the month's end data. We keep the daily price data. So it's all here for you to use. So if I pick something like Aviva Life right there, all the pension funds available on the Aviva Life should pop up in this box here where it says loading. Perfect. Then they'll all be available here. And then obviously I could spend a minute or two just scrolling down this whole list. Just pick whatever fund you want, then press add, and that's the next way. The third way would be using something we call the bulk code importer right here. And as most of you are guessing by the name of it, this is where if you've got like a list of codes in Notes or Excel that you know your clients are invested in, or it's a list of funds that you know you use to analyze, then all you got to do is go to your Notes, like I am now. I'll open up, copy those codes, Get rid of this, click next, paste them in here. And then what the system would do is find all those funds for you. Instead of you having to find them individually, in the space of 5-10 seconds, they should find them just like this. And all of them will pop up. Press add. And just like that, we've added it to the active list. Now, if there is a certain fund fact sheet that you're looking for from these funds, then all you got to do is go to the fund that you want the fact sheet for, and then just click on this paper file looking thing on the left-hand side here. And when you do that, all the fund information will pop up, just like this. So here you'll get all the information you need on this particular fund, the costing, the yield, fund objective, the fund manager's notes. And if you want a bit more information, there's a load more tabs that you could click into and get as well. If you just want a one-page summary of this information, then you could just click on the summary fact sheet PDF there. And that would give you the fund fact sheet right here. And we produce about 96% of all these fund fact sheets. So there shouldn't be a fund without fact sheet unless it's very, very niche. But yeah, and everything I show you today can be PDF'd and saved and taken away as well, very, very easily. So I'll get rid of that. Now, where I go from here is say, okay, Mr. Client, look, I found everything that you're currently invested in. The next logical thing for me to do is to go bundle all of them up under one portfolio. And to do that, what we would do is just go to portfolio at the top, click on new portfolio, and this portfolio builder page should pop up. Again, data sits on the left-hand side, output on the right, so that thing kind of carries on. But I don't like finding all those funds again on the left-hand side because I just find it tedious and it's quite hard to find everything on here. So a little tip is if you click on this magic green arrow here that says import from active list, when you hover over it, everything that we found in this active list here should go straight into your portfolio content. Now, your job would be just tell us the value units or weighting of each individual fund. And when you've done that, normally I just press the sum button to make it all even. Nice lazy way of doing it. That bit will be done. Next bit I like to talk about here is the benchmark. So the benchmark is set to FTSE All Share as a default, but you can change it. And the way to change it is very easy. You just go to the left-hand side, pick what you want the benchmark to be. So if we just pick a random sector, don't press add because that'll add it to your portfolio content. What you want to do is click the drop down and click on add as benchmark, and that's your benchmark change right there. Now, when you build portfolios in this way, there will be the portfolio will be net of fund charges, but it won't be net of advice or platform charge. However, if you did want to include the advice and platform charge, if you knew it, then all you got to do is go to portfolio settings at the top and add it under additional charge here. Right there, and then when you run your performance line charts or your reports, then that would be taken into account, and you can tell your clients that it's net of all charges. Now, when you save this portfolio, what you could also do now is actually export it straight to CashCalc. It's not going to let me do that now because I haven't saved it, but you could export it straight to CashCalc. And what that basically does, if you are a CashCalc user, is look at all the underlying holdings of the portfolio, link them to their sectors, look back 40 years and give you an annualized linear growth rate to use in CashCalc. So there's no more guessing or assuming what the growth rate on that pot should be. It's a really cool feature to use as well. And yeah, just don't forget to save it when you're done with the portfolio. And my go-to client all the time with these demos is Keith Baker. Then you click save right here. And what that would do is, if we go back to this page, we could go find that portfolio. But before I find that portfolio, a little tip I like to say before getting rid of all these funds is if this is an active list that you use all the time, or it's a list of funds that you might use later in the future, then what I suggest is clicking save and saving the active list with a name that you remember. Then when you come into analytics next time, you won't have to find everything again. You just click open, and then that list should be there waiting for you to use. If I open up my FE interest rates, just like that. Okay, so let's get rid of this and let's go find Keith Baker's portfolio that we built. Great. So if we search Keith, here he is, press add, and then we've just added that portfolio into here, into the active list. Now with when you include portfolios into your active list, the paper file looking thing on the left-hand side is no longer a fund fact sheet. It's actually a medium scan now. And what the medium scan actually shows you is basically a 2-page report of that portfolio. So I'll let that load. Right at the top, it shows you the portfolio summary. So it shows you how the portfolio is done over 6 months to 5 years, portfolio expense, FE risk score, underlying holdings, and how well they've done. We're starting to get more and more ISS ESG fund rating stars, which is good to see. We're still waiting on more. Portfolio ratios, then you get the asset, sector, and region allocation with the top 10 holdings and their weightings. Then you get 6 different graphs, which you can edit into any of these options here. Basically, pick the option that helps tell the story that you're trying to tell. And when you're happy with all of that, what you could do is go back to the top, PDF it, and take this report off and save it to your client's file somewhere. And that's the medium scan on there. Now, let me just switch from SJP to my normal UK one. And where I go from here is say, okay, Mr. Client, look, you're currently in this portfolio. I want to propose putting you in a different one. So at this point, you could either go pick one of your MPS solutions or one of your portfolios that you use that's under your portfolio tab here. And if you do use any MPS solutions, then it's very easy to get unlocked on their portfolios. You simply go to the left-hand side, click on Portfolio Tools, click on MPS Directory. And this is why I basically call our supermarket of MPSs. So if you come here and let that load, you just go into here, pick whatever MPS provider you use or would like to have access to. So if you just click on like AJ Bell, for instance, and you'll see the page. So we have all the information on their portfolios. Let me zoom in slightly, just like here. And all you'd need to do is click on Activate Me, put in your details in here. And what that would do, that will ping AJ Bell an email or message saying you'd like to have access to their portfolios. Give it 24 to 48 hours for them to have a look at it, because there's a human behind the screen that has to click accept. But when that happens and you get an email notification saying the portfolios have been added to your account, then all their portfolios will be put into your portfolio tab here under this drop down. Right there. Load just like this. So I got all the LGT ones, FEI, OpenWork, Suplan, and TP, just because I do a load of different demos to those networks. For today, I'll just pick, I don't know, I'll just pick a random FEI one and pretend I'm using that as my MPS. So I'll add that in. So I'm like, okay, Ms. Baker, you're currently in this one. I'm proposing this one. And then this one, I move over to the right-hand side to show why. So the first thing I do on here is use a performance line chart, just because 5.6 million different performance line charts were generated last year, which always blows my mind. And I do it over a 5-year period as a standard. I leave everything the same, generate chart, and then I could easily compare the two portfolios. Now, I haven't built Keith Baker's portfolio in the best way, so yeah, let's have a look. There you go. Okay, so Mr. Baker, your portfolio is represented by the blue line in the graph, and that's returned 18.34% over the last 5 years. Whereas if you were in my proposed portfolio, which is represented by the red line on the graph, you would actually be on 49.17% instead. So it's very easy to compare on performance on the performance line chart. Where I like to go next, actually before I go next as well, if you are using MPS solutions, what you can also do here is, can you see these red squares on the FEI one? All those red squares are different rebalances that FEI have told us about. And what you could do with those rebalances is go to chart options and actually ask the system to show you what the graph would look like if certain rebalances hadn't taken place. So if we go in and I just say, if FEI didn't make a rebalance in April 2021 or October 2021, what would they have looked like? Press OK. And fingers crossed, they're actually going to be below 49.17. But let's see. Okay, well, that's not the best, but it shows what the example can do. So if they didn't make a rebalance in April 2021, then they'll actually be on 52.34%. But if they didn't make a rebalance in October 2021, they'll actually be lower at 45.9. So yeah, you could use this to your advantage. If I get rid of this, the next place I like to go is the scatter chart. And if I do this over 5 years as well, generate chart. I like to use the scatter chart because it shows performance on the y-axis and volatility on the x, and you can easily get an idea of the risk to reward ratio. So let that load. There you go. Okay, cool. So scroll down. So Mr. Baker, you're currently taking a 9.13 annualized volatility for 15.84% performance. The one I'm suggesting is slightly higher in volatility. However, it absolutely destroys your performance. And the performances that you see here are slightly different from the performance line chart, just because this one's going up to the 30th of September and it hasn't taken account of October here. And this one works really well if you get in like, let me get one of my lists up. If you get in, I'm going to get in the Vanguard list, and it works really well to show your clients how a high equity portfolio is more likely to be more volatile, but have higher performance. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Just here. And I like to use the Vanguard ones because I really like the way they line up. So it's a much easier conversation. So it's kind of look, A is the 100% equity, and that has the highest annualized volatility, but also the highest performance. Whereas E is the lowest equity content, that has the lowest volatility, but also the lowest performance. So you can see how you could use this to have a chat about that as well. So I'll get rid of this. Let's get rid of all that. Add Keith again, and we can move on. Okay, so the next thing I like to show is the regular savings and withdrawals. I really like this one because it's unique to FE Analytics, and it allows you to work with accumulating clients and decumulating clients. So if I click it on 5 years again as a standard, and we'll go as a withdrawal. So Mr. Baker's going to go into decumulation, and what I make up here is that my client Keith Baker, 5 years ago, he told me he finally hit 300k into his pension pot here. And then he started taking a regular withdrawal of £1,500 a month. Now, if I generate a chart, I could show him what that journey looked like exactly and how much his pot is sitting on compared to if he'd done that journey in my proposed solution. Okay, so Mr. Baker, you told me you had 300k in your pot 5 years ago before you started taking out £1,500 monthly. What that basically means is that your portfolio represented by the red line is currently sitting on 248k. Whereas if you've done the exact same journey, but in the portfolio I'm proposing, you'll actually be on 316k. Nice and easy there. Then you could go back and change that to 2 grand, 3 grand, whatever it is, and show them the difference. And the other side to this would be savings. In savings, what I say is that Mr. Baker, my client, 5 years ago already had 100 grand in his Keith Baker pension. And then COVID came around and he was just skeptical about the market. So he didn't want to do any more lump sums. So what we decided to do is pound cost average of about 300 or 400 quid a month. So let's go 300, generate, see how that looks like. Perfect. So Mr. Baker, you told me you already had 100 grand in there. Then you started doing £300 a month over the last 5 years. So that means the total savings in this pot, pardon me, is 118k. From the 118k, your pot with a return 135.7. And if you were in the pot I'm proposing and you've done the exact same journey, then you'll actually be on 163. And this is beneficial because you can see the positives of pound cost averaging as well, because the volatility is kind of taken out. So if we compare this to a normal performance line chart, this dip over here goes down all the way, and some dips down here are much further down here. So it really smooths out your volatility by pound cost averaging as well, because you're buying on the way down and on the way up. So easy conversation to have there. So that's the regular savings and withdrawal chart. Where I go from here, I like to show a couple of things on the reports. And the first one is portfolio comparison. So I like to show this one because it's one of the easiest tools to use analytics. It literally does what it says on the tin. It just compares 2 different portfolios for you. So if we choose Keith Baker pension pot, and then go choose an FEI one right here, generate, what you will get is the 2 portfolios side by side. Load. Perfect. So you get his current portfolio alongside the one you're proposing, two text boxes. So yeah, you could tell him how much this one sucks and why he should move over to this one. And then you got all the underlying holdings here. You can see all holdings if you wanted to, if you click on that. Going down, you got cumulative performance over 5 years. You can change that to 3-1 or the start of the youngest portfolio. And then you've got a bit more about performance against the benchmark for both the portfolios. Then you've got the volatility over 1 year. You can change that to 3 years if you wanted to. Then you come down, you've got annualized ratios, and you've got the asset, region, and sector allocation of each portfolio side by side. And it's very, very easy to take this away. You just PDF it, save it, and take it away. So that's the first one. The next one would be custom table. And I like the custom table because you could actually customize what fields you want to analyze those portfolios on or those funds on. So if I load this up, the custom report builder comes up. Again, data sits on the left-hand side, output on the right, and you basically tell us what you want to analyze on. So if you want to have a look at performance, what type of performance you want to look at? Is it cumulative, discrete, rolling, or user-defined? If it's cumulative, and what period do you want to look at? Is it the 6 months? Then you press add, and you can see it go over to the right-hand side. Do you also want to have a look at 1 year and 3 years? Then you could easily do that. If you did want discrete performance as well, just put that in there, decide what period of discrete, and tell us how many years. Press add. There you go. When you're using this, if you haven't used it before, then quick find will be your good friend at the start, just because here you could just search. So for example, if I'm looking at volatility, he'll find where volatility is for me in here. And then all I got to do again is decide what periods of volatility do you want to look at. Is it what, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, just like that. And you could change cumulative, discrete, and rolling just here. We also have so many other different data points that you could analyze on. So yeah, if you already have NFV Analytics, jump in, give this a go. If not, then do give it a go also. And yeah, when you're happy with what's on the right-hand side, then all you got to do is click save, give it a name that you remember, and you could use this layout over and over and over again. You don't have to keep rebuilding it. You could use it on multiple different portfolios, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I go into here and I go to pick one of my layouts, let's just go to my normal panel report one, generate graph here, let that load. And then what you're about to see now when this loads is your selected fields on top and the two portfolios on the left-hand side, and then the corresponding data points below them, just like this. So everything you've chosen will be on top, and then all the corresponding data points below them. So I have 1 3 years cumulative, 1 3 years volatility, portfolio expense, FE risk score, and so on. And this it works both on portfolios or funds. And if you wanted to add a bit of color, then I suggest going to the highlight bit at the top, put it into quartiles, and then everything in purple, I'll let that load. Everything in purple will be in the top quartile, everything red will be in the bottom quartile. Very easy there. Okay, so that's all I'm going to show on the right hand side at a minute, but I do want to show how you could use analytics to help with certain conversations you have with your clients. And the most recent one I've been showing personally is how does inflation affect your returns? So a little bit of context on how I'm going to do this is my client, Keith Baker, 5 years ago, instead of pound cost averaging it into the market, what he decided to do is take his 100 grand out and go into cash. And when he went to the cash, he told me he was getting between 4.5% and 4% interest. So what I do is I go to market indices, type in FE. And when you do that, a load of pre-built interest rates come up. So I go find the 4.5% and the 4%. And then what I do is I go back to performance line chart, and under base, I change it from percentage change to index lump sum because I know he had 100 grand invested, and I run two separate graphs here. So the first performance line chart is just going to show his return on his interest. And the second one would be I bring in CPI for my inflation because I like to use CPI and adjust everything for it so you get the real return. So if we run the first chart here, it's like that load. Perfect. So you come into here, and we could quickly show Mr. Baker how that looked like. So Mr. Baker, if you're getting 4% on your 100 grand over the last 5 years, then you would have returned 21.6k. And if you were getting 4.5% on in the last 5 years, then you would return 24.6k. Now, if you were in the market, then you would have got 49k. That's a whole different story. Just focusing on this. Now that all looks great. However, what I want to do now, if I minimize this, is go back into market indices, again CPI for my inflation. That should load. Here it is. Yep. Press add, and then on the relative moving average, we want to change that to relative, and then we want to compare it to CPI. Now I'll take this one out because we don't need that anymore, and then generate. And what you're about to see now is that CPI is going to become a flat line in this graph, and everything's going to be measured off it. So we get the real return. Here you go. So if I zoom in slightly, CPI is right here, the flat line, everything's measured off it. So Mr. Baker, look, if you were getting 4% on your 100 grand over the last 5 years, you thought you made 21.6k. However, when we adjusted it for inflation over the same time period, you're actually down about 4.7k in real terms. And the story doesn't get much better. If you were getting 4.5% because you thought you made 24.6k, though when we adjusted it for inflation over the same time period, you're actually down about 2.4k in real terms. And if you're in the market, you would have still returned a positive net return, even though we've had COVID, high interest rates, inflation, Trump come in, yeah, all the craziness, there's still a positive return in that. And I like to show this one because it shows how you could use analytics for more than just portfolio comparisons and stuff like that. It could help with those tough conversations. So that is one of them on there. Now, I just want to quickly go back to the fact how the portfolios are connected, how you could send your portfolio to CashCalc. So if I click on Keith Baker's pension, for all of you that use CashCalc, okay, so let that load. There you go. No, sorry about that. Just click on it again. And wait for the holdings to pop up. It's been kind of slow. There you go. That's more like it. So when you've saved your portfolio and you want to send this over to CashCalc, all you got to do is click back into the portfolio builder and then click on export to FE CashCalc. And then you decide, do you want the linear growth rate template, asset allocation template, or both? If you want both, just click on both. Template name, you can change it there if you want to, probably just keep it the same. Create template, and what that would do is send it straight to FE CashCalc. It'll take you there. There you go. And under portfolios, just here, I'll let it finish loading. There you go. So Keith Baker's pension will be right there. If I click onto it, it should show me what the annualized linear growth rate I should use for that particular portfolio. And it's telling me for this particular portfolio, I should be using a 6.37% growth rate. And that works on all your different portfolios and everything like that on there. So that is very easy to integrate between the two. And the last thing is, I just want to mention the advisor asset. So we've recently, well, I say recently, in March this year, we've embedded FE advisor asset into CashCalc. So you'll be able to do your charge comparison, consolidation, switch analysis, and platform due diligence on here as well. Actually, do I have time to take you through one? Yeah, we'll go through consolidation, switch analysis quickly. And when you come into here, I do advise just working your way down the left-hand side first, just fill out all this information because it will make it much smoother. So your client's name and their date of birth, any charges that you want to put in there, like your advisor charge, any special terms that you get with platforms, any platforms that you definitely won't use, any your portfolios that you want to put them into. And again, I don't know if you saw that button in analytics, you can send in your portfolios directly from analytics into advisor asset and use those. And then my platforms won't be of use. And when you've done that, just go back to my consolidation, start new, and then I got one here for Keith Baker. So when you come in here, just give it a name. Tell us what age you want to run it up to. So I want to run it up to until he's 65, so that's 3 years and 10 months. Then I said Mr. Baker's got 3 different seeding schemes. He's got an ISA with Hargreaves Lansdown and 2 SIPs, one with Scottish Widows and one with M&G. It's very, very easy to add these seeding schemes. Just press add seeding schemes, give it a name, tell us the fund value, and then the reduction in yield. Press next. And then what it does when you click next, it bundles up all the pensions together and all the ISAs together. Then you get to choose where do you want to put that ISA, what portfolio. So I've just been lazy and chose a Vanguard Life Strategy 60%. And for the pensions, I did a 50-50 split between FEI and LifeStrat 80%. And then the projection basis here are worked out from your seeding schemes, so an aggregate, and it works it out for you here. And then if you want to add your advisor charge, you just put advisor charge and my advisor fees there. And then you get 4 different tick boxes, which if you want to go into more details, like if you want to add any filters about round wrappers and so on, there's any fund switch rebalancing charges that you know about, you click on there and you tell us on the next page. If there's any family linked accounts or existing accounts, you just click on that. Now, I won't say there's anything like that. Click next, and what the system would now do is search the whole of market to show us what is the best platform to aggregate all those seeding schemes on for the lowest reduction in yield. Just like that, we could see that Aegon Arc came on top. I know you don't have to pick the cheapest one, I've been told many times, but for this particular demo, I'm going to again. And you can see, yeah, it's searched pretty much all the platforms he has on there. So if I select Aegon Arc, I believe this is the most important page on here, because what it shows us is how much it was costing Mr. Baker before to have 3 separate seeding schemes and how much it will cost him now that he's aggregating them all under one platform. So that's a total of 0.55% saved. And in monetary terms, that's about 20K gained or saved over the 3 years and 10 months that we're running this for. And then you go down, it shows you what you're getting charged before, and then the split between the two, any benefits that they get with this particular platform. Click next. You come into here. You come into here, it just shows you how much it's going to cost him to put him, his ISA into the Vanguard, how much it's going to cost to put his pension into the 50-50 split. Then you have to give a quick reason on why you chose that particular platform. And when you're happy with that, you can get a nice report that looks like this. So we go down, the all contents, the summary of results. So I think it's the most important page. Little comparisons. And then your charge, I just did the 0.9% charge, and then the platform's charge on how it's split up, and then all the research that you've done to get to this point. And there is quite a lot of data on here to back you up on why you chose that particular platform, just there. And that is advisor asset, so you could definitely use that. That is, unless I'm forgetting something, that is pretty much a best way for an intro into FE Analytics. You don't want to go into too much detail, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions that do pop up when you guys start using it. So let us know what they are and try our best to answer them. Let me have a look. Is there any questions in the chat? Jacob? I can't see any over here. Just looking through the questions. So James, so to your questions about finding funds without ICE and CEDAW, what I usually do, if I can't find it by putting the name of it into the master search at the top here, what I usually do is I just open a new tab and search the name of it into Google. And then what that basically comes up with most of the times is TrustNet, and whatever it's called in TrustNet, it will be the same name in analytics. That's a little tip for everyone, just in case you can't find a particular fund in analytics, just search it onto Google and then see what it's called in TrustNet, then either copy and paste the name, or in TrustNet it will give you the ISIN and CEDAW codes and so on, that you could just copy and paste it straight into here. So that's for that one. Hope that helps. Let me see, is there anything else? Charlie, not sure if this falls into the session, but you're able to show basic fund research. So yeah, I could quickly do that. So under fund filters, I think that's the best place to start when you're doing fund research. So if you click new on here, you'll get this fund filter page right here. He says, let me have a look. Yeah, amazing. So you get this fund filter tool here. So the first place to just focus on is making sure that you pick the right universe that you're looking to. So I normally just, when I'm doing my demos, I normally just stick to the unit trust and OIX universe, pretty much the easiest. Click on there, and then what you could do in this fund filter tool here is basically the same, kind of similar to the custom table. Under the unit trust and OIX universe, we have, it's telling me that 3,076 funds, and you can start filtering down those funds by at the left hand side here. So if I want performance over the last 3 years to be greater than, I don't know, 40%, then I just click that, and that should start narrowing it down. Let's have a look. So now we know that 903 out of the 3K had 40% performance over the last 3 years. And I also wanted to have 5 crowns. Just keep going down, just like that. And then you could see how you could start narrowing it more and more and more by going into here. So if you want certain ESG characteristics, you go into there. Any fact sheet characteristics, you go into here. So you can see there's a lot of different data points that you can analyze by here. And I would definitely go into here, Charlie. And when you are happy with your results or filters, then all you do is just click on show results, and all those funds will pop up. Just like this, and then yeah, all the funds that fit your filters, which will be around the top here, will show you what you filtered by, will be down here. Now I know I've left 149 in here, but if like you're left with about, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, then you can just press on add all to active list. But when you have a list of 149, you probably don't want to move all of them to there. So what you can also do is start sending them over by individually. So you can start sending it all into your active list, just like this. And then what you could do is, before I leave this, you could either save your fund filter so you don't have to do it again, and you could use it on different universes. We're going to here. These are all the different funds I've just sent over. Now, I know they're filtered down to my characteristics, but I want to do a bit more research on them in terms of performance and so on. So I could either go back to my custom table and pick one that I've used before. I think I got a fund one actually. There you go. Change it to the fund one, generate. You could get this. Perfect. And then you come in here, and just like we did for the portfolios before, all those funds can be analyzed on performance, volatility, etc., risk score. And at this stage, I still want to narrow this. There's 10 different funds on here. I want to narrow it between, I don't know, the 3 or 4 that I think best fit. So if I look at cumulative, I want this one because it's the highest. I want to compare it to, I don't know, this one, and I'll just pick 2 at random. That one here, or just one for this instance. And then what you could do is actually do a fund comparison through here, through the custom table. And what we'll do is exactly what's similar to the portfolio comparison. It will have all the 3 funds I've just picked out of that right side by side, just like this. So you can get all the information you kind of need to compare them, how they've done, performance, discrete performance by calendar year. You can see there's a lot of information that you could gather from that. And I think that is the best place to start when you're doing your fund research on analytics. Actually, just let me see any more questions I could answer quickly. Here we go. Yes, there is. Just real quickly from that, I want to show as well on what we've recently added, just been mentioned on there. So if you do use any MPS providers and so on, what we also have now is a sector for the MPS universe. So if you click on UK MPS here, let me get rid of all these, and you're just wondering how is my MPS solution doing against the whole of market, then you could just click onto the sectors, UK MPS, click on what kind of equity and property holdings that you want. So I'll go on 65 to 85% growth, add that. And what you can do with that is click on the fact sheet, and under the fact sheet, it will show you who's the top performing MPSs in this particular sector. Just like this. So you go into here, you can see the top performing portfolios over the last year, 3 years, and 5 years. The bottom performing portfolios over the last year, 3 years, and 5 years. Volatility wise, for both bottom and top and what's it? Most volatile and least volatile. And then if you want the members, then all the members would be listed in there, and you could easily send them over to your active list just through here. But you won't be able to run any type of like performance line chart on these. Just if I try it, that's going to go on this one. Let me get rid of this. You won't be able to run any type of performance line chart on these unless you get yourself unlocked on the MPS directory on the left-hand side. But you can click on the fact sheet of each individual one, and it should show you the performance and how it's been doing compared to its sector. Just here, and if we go into performance, it'll show you how that's been performing compared to its underlying sector there. So yeah, that's a great way of checking that out. So then what I would do, let me see. Instruments. Let's go back here. I'm going to answer the latest question. This is about the 20 funds from David. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Let's try that. Okay, so what I would do is I wouldn't put into a performance line chart because, like you said, it's a maximum number of 12. But I believe, if I'm not wrong, the custom table should be able to pick that up and put all 20 side by side for you. So you won't technically get a graph out of it, but you still get the data that you want. So you still get your cumulative performance or discrete performance or anything like that that you've put in there. So that's why I'll use the custom table instead. So when I'm analyzing 12 or more funds or portfolios, I'll go to the custom table and it should bring them all under one place for you and analyze it like that. I hope that helps. Just there. When the asset allocation shows as unlisted, if you could just send us an email, we'll talk to the customer support team and see what information we could pull out for you. And I have seen that before, actually. Um, okay, I think that is all the questions. I'm really sorry if I did miss out your question. Yeah, please just get in touch and we'll try our best to answer them as well. But yeah, thank you all for joining us today. I hope that was somewhat useful. Actually, I'll get up my LinkedIn and so on, so you guys can drop me a message if you have any questions, and I'll direct you in the to the right place. So all you need to do is just scan this barcode here, and yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And like I said, if you have any questions that come up later or while you're using it, just drop me a message, and I'll try my best to answer them, or I'll move it over to your account manager who will be in touch. Thank you. I'll just leave it running there for a bit. Okay. Thank you, James.